File. That's 833-ERC-FILE.
Welcome to Fight for Life, a pro-life radio show discussing the ministry of First Choice Pregnancy Services here in Las Vegas. I'm Deborah, board member and executive director of First Choice Pregnancy Services.
And I'm Jessica, logistics specialist at First Choice Pregnancy Services.
We are ambassadors for the unborn. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, friends. This is Jess, and I have Chris here with me today. Deb will be joining us here shortly. We are your ambassadors on behalf of the unborn babies, here to share insights and real-life stories in the fight for the unborn. This is Jess, and I'm bringing you the weekly update and announcements as well from July 27th through August 2nd of 2023. First Choice provided 68 free pregnancy tests and 39 free ultrasounds to our clients. If you're tuning in for the first time, First Choice is a Christian, life-affirming, nonprofit pregnancy center nestled right in the center of Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. We're here shining as a beacon of light as God allows us to serve the women of this community and, by extension, their families, the husbands, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, siblings. The clients that we serve are mainly abortion bound, but when they come to First Choice first, if they're considering abortion, they about 81% of the time, by the time they leave First Choice, will choose life for their baby instead of abortion. So it's so incredibly vital that we reach them with our free services. We get to speak to them about their pregnancy, about the life that is being knitted in their womb, delicately formed by God Himself, right in their womb. That miracle is occurring right inside of them. And we get to talk to them about that. We get to share the gospel with them. We get to share the good news of what Jesus did on the cross to cleanse us of all of our sin. So we get to share all of that with them, which is a very unique part of our ministry. And typically, when you're involved with a ministry at a church, it's that church that has to go door knocking. They're the ones that have to go out seeking souls to save. However, at First Choice, because of the lifestyles often that leads them to a crisis pregnancy, we get to have the souls be brought to us, and so we get to share the gospel with them as they're brought into First Choice. And it's so incredibly vital that we do get them those free services, especially ultrasound, because yes, we can confirm that they're pregnant with a pregnancy test, but when they see their baby on that ultrasound screen, moving around, dancing, happy to be alive. Sometimes they wave, sometimes they're sucking their thumb. My son was curling his hair like I do, so it just made that it made that instant connection from mother and father to the baby that's growing in their womb. So if you'd like to join this conversation, you can call into the radio station at 702-650-5588, or you can join along with us on social media as we are streaming live right now on Facebook and YouTube. You can follow us at FCPS Friends, and on Instagram and Twitter, you can follow us at FCPS_friends. And I have Chris with me here today. We're going to talk about Beauty from Ashes, kind of the meeting that's behind that, and a very interesting conversation that we recently had. Do you want to talk about that conversation?
Sure, yes. So Beauty from Ashes, that is inspiration from Isaiah 61. And I love that verse because it's going to reflect our gala, our banquet. The speaker, Robin Settle, she was, her mom tried to abort her 3 times and she survived it. I didn't know that there are so many abortion survivors here around us, and she has a big group. And she's going to tell the beauty, what the devil tried to use to do evil, now God is using for good, because
That's right.
through her story she's generating life. She can talk about the dangers of abortion. She can inspire women not go through that decision, also support life. And we're very excited to have her here. We're gonna have her here in the radio in the week of the gala, so stay tuned about when she comes here. It's a great story. But today we had a great conversation because part of my role in First Choice is connect with the community and outreach and going events. And then I was just talking to a lady. She's very well known here in our community. She does a lot of events, very influencing politics, and she loves First Choice. And she came to do a tour, and she advocates for us. But I never imagined that in her past she had an abortion. So today, finally, she was being vulnerable and telling me, and you were there too, how bad was that decision, how she regrets so much.
There was so much that affected her entire life. Now that she's a more mature woman, she can reflect back and see that everything that led from that one event really projected her life and what has happened to her since. And she's had health problems. She had
a
mental distress, right?
mental distress, depression. She could not have kids. She had problem with endometriosis. She had to remove all her uterus, and she cannot have kids. And she's in her 40s, almost 50s. And she said, I wish I had children. But she was forced to do an abortion through an abusive relationship, and she regrets so much. And it's sad because I always talk to women who regret having their abortion, but never I found a woman that said to me, I regret having my child, even that wasn't during a difficult pregnancy. And it's sad because society is lying to women that the solution is death, that solution is abortion, and there are so many choices, right? So that's why we are the one offering choices, right?
That's right.
We are truly the pro-choice ones in this issue.
Welcome, Deb.
Yeah, so it was interesting. So because you never know, what is the statistic? 1 in 4 women are doing abortion in America.
I'm not sure about the
Okay.
statistic.
Because I know every
That's
family
actually a really
is
good one to look up. But she shared with us that since then, she's really gotten very active in the community and really dug deep to find some kind of meaning in her life. And so that
Some purpose.
exactly, so that's exactly what Chris repeated back to her was Beauty from Ashes, which is the entire theme of our banquet on October 6th. And really, it's truly anytime that we go through something horrific, anytime that even we have committed a heinous sin or something that we would really hold over our own selves, or somebody has sinned traumatically against us, we can still live out a very purposeful life with the remaining time that God has given us, and it's here for us to redeem. We need to redeem that time for God's glory. And so just because these things have happened to us doesn't mean that we're damaged. It doesn't mean that we have no value or meaning left in our life. No, it's the exact opposite. When the master left and he left his servants responsible for his talents, they either invested it and they put it to purpose, or they buried it in the sand. And we don't want to have the master return, our creator return and say, this is what I did with your time and skill and everything that you gifted me with in this life. I didn't bury that in the sand. I used it. I may have made terrible decisions in my life, and I have. I'm sure we can all say that. We've made terrible decisions in our lives, but we can learn from that. We can change our mind, and we can change the projection of our life by using it for God's glory.
There's no sin too big that Christ couldn't cover on the cross.
Amen.
So
That's right.
if you're carrying something that you think is so big that Christ can't forgive, you need to repent of that because Christ has already covered that. Which I have this thing I found a few years ago. I saw it on the internet, and it just made me think of it in our conversation. In Japan, broken objects are often repaired with gold.
Mm-hmm.
The flaw is seen as a unique piece of the object's history, which adds to its beauty. Consider this when you feel broken. And it's a bowl that has been cracked, but it's been repaired with gold, and so it adds a unique perspective to the bowl.
Beautiful.
There's actually a name to that craft. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But yes, that's exactly, when we are broken, then we are a vessel that can be used by God.
Wow.
When we become that I used to be so against someone calling me broken. I felt like that was really almost a derogatory term. Don't call me broken. I'm not broken. I'm not damaged goods. But really, it's
all
what
broken.
God needs us to be. He needs us to be in that broken state so that he can form us and mold us into who he wants us to be and how he can use us. That's where purpose comes in.
Wow.
And that's partly why I'm late here today.
Purpose.
There's so many things that God brings you through in your life. And oftentimes they might seem really small to you, and they might not seem like they have any significance. But in somebody's life, it is very significant if they're walking through it. I actually had somebody reach out on our police department that was looking for some support for a police family, and the lady had a baby at the exact same day and week as what I had my second child premature. And she's in a interesting spot in her life. With the police department, it's an intense phase of life when you're on the department, going through the academy. It's a really rough time. And so I was able to, I told her, oh, I had a baby premature at 34 weeks on the day. And she said, really? Me too. And so there's always something that God has brought you through that might seem insignificant to you at that point of life, but it can be such an encouragement to people at other points of their life.
Deb has a unique talent that God has given her to be able to connect to people in one way or another. She has had so much experience through her life that she can just, oh, me too, oh, me too. And she just has a way to really connect with people on a unique level.
Amazing.
So, Chris,
Yes.
how are some ways that people can get involved to help for the banquet?
Wonderful. So first of all, we are collecting silent auction items for our fundraiser. You're gonna have a big table with many items. Can be ticket shows, hotels, gift certificates, beauty service, and if you know some business that are Christian or love our mission, would like to donate, because that's a way that we can fundraise. And we're gonna put in a moment of reception before the gala starts. People are gonna come and do their biddings. So we are collecting that for now. And for register to your ticket, you go to fcpsfriends.org, and then you can buy your table, your individual ticket. If you want to talk to your pastor to be a table host, that would be amazing, because this banquet is gonna be so informative. People are gonna learn. And it's amazing to bring your church to get involved and to learn more about abortion and offering life. So that's the help. Spread the news in your church. If you know someone who would like to donate, if you know someone who would like to be sponsor, you can go to fcpsfriends.org.
Or you can call us at 702-294-2273 to get more information on that, or if you'd like to donate to the silent auction, or if you'd like to sponsor that banquet. Maybe there's a certain aspect of the banquet that you'd like to sponsor, like AV.
Yeah.
That would be a really good thing to pick up for a sponsorship. The more sponsors that we get for this event means that more of the funds that we actually make at the event go toward the cause. The cause being saving the lives of these babies that are at high risk of being aborted.
Amen.
So, we have some pretty big news that I want Deb to talk on, if you don't mind. Something that happened 2 Sundays ago.
Yeah, so we always talk to you guys about all the spiritual warfare at First Choice that we encounter. And, it's been really hot outside. When the heat came to Vegas, it came with a vengeance this summer. And
It really did.
Yeah, it did.
It's hot.
And our surveillance system, we started having some issues with our recorder boxes. And we had a security company that was coming out on Monday to help fix the issue. Well, about 14 hours before they came, somebody showed up, a couple people showed up to First Choice, and they vandalized it with graffiti on the front and side wall. We know that it was at least 2 people because of
Sean's over there like, no.
Neighboring-
He's hearing this for the first
a
time.
neighboring business across the street from us felt like they needed to repay the favor in sharing video footage with us, because we had shared it with them last year when something happened to their facility. Actually, it is the porn company across the street from us. So they're not really fond of us or what we do, but God
will use
used
any vessel.
God used the last year of us sharing our video footage with them for them to repay the favor to us and share with us what they saw on their cameras. So
Actually, I walked into their building and I was like, "Hi, you remember us?"
So it was generally, Metro doesn't have the time to respond to graffiti, but the graffiti that they did on our wall was very distinct. They put fraud on one wall, and the A in it was the anarchist A that was circled. And so that raised it to another level. Thankfully, Sheriff McMahill, props to him. We're very grateful for him. When he was reached out to, he sent officers down, and they looked at what was going on the walls, and then they contacted counterterrorism. And the counterterrorism unit at Metro has taken over the investigation of it. We don't know that they'll find security footage to be able to clearly identify these people, but a detective came in yesterday and he said, that this is just the beginning. Like, there's gonna be more of this. And I said, I'm fully aware of that. That's why we want you guys supporting us. So hopefully God is going to use this situation to even develop the relationship with our own law enforcement officers here in the city, that they will be aware of those of us here in the city, Women's Resource Center, that advocate for life and have a better understanding of what it is we do and how they should be supporting us. When the abortion clinic calls 911, they get a response immediately. They have a lot of money. They have their hands in the pockets of politicians. And it's a little different.
Funded by you taxpayers, by the way.
And I told this officer yesterday, I said, all lives matter, right? And he says, yeah. And I said, that's what we believe, and we're here to defend the lives of the unborn. And we need people to be fair and making sure that things are properly handled and investigated when it comes to us being here at this location. And so we had a really good conversation. As a police wife, when you think of God doesn't waste any circumstance, we've had quite a few law enforcement officers or girlfriends of officers that have been through our center seeking abortions. And so God is opening the doors up for me to get in and maybe have more of a conversation with my Blue family here locally, educate them to life, and encourage them to live lives that, they're willing to lay down their lives for random people in our communities. But oftentimes when it comes to a sinful situation, they're pushing the murder of their own child. So just pray that God would supply for our needs. We're going to have to get a new security system. We're hopeful that after my conversation yesterday with this detective, he made us aware of a grant we can apply for with Homeland Security. So we are going to see what that entails and see if that might be an option for us to be able to get a new camera system. It's going to probably be roughly about $8,000 for a good security system that will be able to really serve First Choice for a good 10 years without any issues.
And truly, that's just like the starting point of trying to address some of the issues that kind of came out of this whole situation, and God used this situation to highlight some areas that we need to improve upon. So we can definitely be proactive instead of reactionary in this cause because of that. So
always
but where are we now?
opportunities for growth.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Where are we now? I mean, there was a supporting church, and this is why it's so incredibly important to start praying for ministries, start praying for First Choice specifically, because when you do, God then starts using that prayer as a way to move your own heart to take action. And then when you take action, that builds upon that, and you want to start investing more. You want to start being more of an ambassador for the ministry, and you realize this really is a mission field.
Thankfully, one of the new supporting churches we have on board, one of the people within their congregation came out the following day after Metro cleared us for all of their footage. He came out the next day, and First Choice was painted by him, all the walls that were tagged, and he even made it look better than it was before. He filled holes that hadn't been filled when it got painted last year. So it actually worked in First Choice's benefit and favor in getting some better walls.
I was really drawn to Genesis 50:20, and forgive me for not quoting it exactly, but basically it talks about how what the enemy meant for evil, God will use for good. And then at the very end it says, for this purpose right now, where we're saving lives, we're saving many lives. I thought, how coincidental is that? It is a living word, so we can apply it to
also
our
think about,
situations.
just in listening to you, you also think about particularly this last year. Pregnancy centers across the country have said the spiritual warfare they're enduring is on another level than they ever have. And Satan has really worked every level at First Choice, trying to deter us and stop us from what we're doing. And so this was another level that it has been taken to try and intimidate and scare those who stand firm on the foundation of Christ and are there to be that voice and advocate for the unborn. And it didn't move us. It's even, we're doubling down in our resolve.
It's made our roots grow even deeper.
Yes. God will protect, He will provide, and we will continue to be that beacon of light and the arms and hands of Jesus to the women here in our city that desperately need the services we offer.
Truly the goal of us sharing all of this, and we did go to the media. We went to the media. We went to Fox or Channel 8. We went to several other media outlets. We went to Las Vegas Review Journal. We went to Christian Television Network, LifeSite News, Heartbeat International, and even got picked up by Live Action News, which is like the biggest, which is like the biggest pro-life network out there. So
it's unfortunate. There's been over 300 attacks on churches and pregnancy centers in the last year.
Yeah. So our whole goal is to share that it's still going on.
And there's really been no convictions on any of it because unfortunately on this issue, law enforcement doesn't tend to be on the side of really investigating. But in our case, it's going to be different. There is one story I want to share because I see they have a few stories here, but this one has been on my heart. Yesterday we had a young woman walk in that had an abortion scheduled across the street, and things had changed in her relationship. She found out the job that the baby's father had wasn't what she thought. Has already been in prenatal care, is 17 weeks pregnant with a little boy, and she was a really difficult situation. So she stayed for a while and talked, so we hoped that last night she wasn't able to get her abortion, and that God maybe worked in her heart overnight and turned her heart back towards that little boy she's carrying.
Amen.
If you haven't purchased your tickets for our upcoming banquet yet, make sure that you do that. You can go to fcpsfriends.org. Make sure you reserve your table and your seats, because we have a feeling this is going to be a packed
If
out
you have
house.
silent auction items for
Yes.
Chris, that she wants your items to put in
Give
the
it to me.
basket. That's it. That was a fast half hour.
It was.
Thank you guys for joining us today on the Fight for Life. God bless you, and we will talk to you next week.
Have a great week.
Thanks for joining your ambassadors for the unborn on the Fight for Life radio today and every Thursday on KKVV 1060 AM, the best news radio, the gospel airship.
If you'd like to support the cause of saving unborn babies, or if you have a question you'd like us to answer on the air, go to fcpsfriends.org or call us at 702-294-CARE. Again, that number is 702-294-2273.
On behalf of his little ones, thank you and God bless.